All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are doing something really cool. We're going to explore a massive, ancient library of Buddhist scripture called the Saṃyutta Nikāya. But don't worry, we aren't going to get lost in the endless stacks of texts. Instead, we're going to zoom straight into its most vital collection, the one specific chapter that points directly to the ultimate goal of all these teachings. Now, just to wrap our heads around the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the Saṃyutta Nikāya, get this. Because of the highly abbreviated way parts of this ancient text were written down, scholars actually still debate the exact number of discourses, or suttas, inside it. While some modern editions count about 2,900 of them, the ancient commentaries suggest it contains a staggering 7,762 individual texts. I mean, just imagine having to memorize nearly 8,000 distinct discourses before writing was even widely used. It is a literal monumental achievement of human memory. So, to navigate this huge collection without getting lost, here is our roadmap. We'll start with a look at the connected discourses, jump into the noble truths in SN 56, discuss concentration as the foundation, explore the famous first sermon, and then wrap up with the social dimension of all this. Okay, let's kick things off with part 1, the connected discourses. So, how is this massive text actually organized? Well, think of the Saṃyutta Nikāya, which translates to the connected discourses, or kindred sayings, like an incredibly well-organized ancient library, where related teachings are systematically grouped together on the exact same shelf. It's the third of the 5 main collections in the Sutta Pitaka. This structure is totally designed for precision. You're not just reading a random chaotic assortment of teachings. You're diving into a deeply interwoven series of texts, all clustered around a specific central theme. When we walk into this textual library, we see it split into 5 massive wings, or vagas. Now, for our purposes today, we're going to breeze right past the first 4 sections, which cover things like verses, causation, the aggregates, and sense spaces. We are heading straight to our true destination, the 5th, final, and largest section. This is the Mahavaga, the great section, and it focuses entirely on the paths, faculties, and factors of enlightenment. Which brings us right to part 2, SN 56, focusing on the noble truths. Deep inside that massive Mahavaga is its absolute crown jewel, chapter 56, known as the Sacca Saṃyutta, or the connected discourses on the truths. What's absolutely fascinating here is that it takes the essence of the entire Buddhist path and distills it down into 131 laser-focused dialogues. While the rest of this giant collection organizes thousands of texts by complex doctrinal themes, this single chapter is the focal point. It cuts right to the chase and points directly to the ultimate goal. And what exactly is it pointing to? The 4 noble truths. This brilliantly illustrates the core bedrock of the text. It's a highly logical, step-by-step framework meant to be deeply understood. First, there's dukkha, the truth of suffering, or basic unsatisfactoriness. Second, samudaya, the origin of that suffering, which is craving. Third, nirodha, the cessation of suffering, which we know as nibbana. And finally, magga, the noble eightfold path that actually gets you to that cessation. You guys, this isn't just a philosophical list, it's a literal diagnostic manual and treatment plan for the human condition. Now, let's look at part 3, concentration as the absolute foundation. To actually pull off this inward work and understand those 4 steps, the text insists we have to start right at the beginning with Discourse SN 56.1, the Samadhi Sutta. Here, the Buddha drops a massive prerequisite for his monks. You have to develop samadhi, or mental concentration. He explicitly links this deep meditative state directly to wisdom. The argument here is that just casually hearing about the 4 noble truths simply won't cut it. Intellectual understanding is not the goal. To penetrate these truths deeply, you need an incredibly stable, totally unified mind. The big takeaway here is that without this intense mental focus, gaining true penetrating insight into suffering is practically impossible. A concentrated mind is the necessary tool that allows you to see things exactly as they really are. This sets the tone for the whole chapter, right? Foundation first, practice first. Because only with that clear, undisturbed mental mirror can you truly witness the reality of suffering, where it comes from, how it stops, and the path to get there. Moving right along to part 4, we hit a major historical milestone, the first sermon. So, once that inward foundation of concentration is established, we zoom over to a deer park near Varanasi. This is Discourse SN 56.11, and it's super famous. It's widely considered the Buddha's very first sermon.
And right out of the gate, speaking to his 5 former ascetic buddies, he starkly calls out 2 massive behavioral extremes that you absolutely must avoid. On one hand, sensual indulgence, living solely for worldly pleasures. And on the exact opposite side, self-mortification, deliberately punishing your own body, which is exactly what his ascetic friends were doing. He basically says, guys, neither of these work. They will not get you to true realization.
By totally tossing out those two extremes, he introduces the middle way as the actual, practical method to complete the Four Noble Truths. This middle way is the Noble Eightfold Path. It's this perfectly balanced approach that he says will actually open your eyes, create real vision, instill knowledge, and lead you straight to peace, awakening, and ultimately nibbana. This exact sermon is so legendary, so fundamental to the scripture, that it's described as setting the wheel of Dhamma into an unstoppable motion. The Sutta notes that just by hearing this flawless distillation of the path, one of the listeners immediately achieves the first stage of awakening. It's this epic moment that the text says was literally celebrated by devas across the entire cosmos. It's the ultimate anchor of the entire Buddhist tradition.
Finally, we arrive at part 5, the social dimension. Let's look at one last sutta today, SN 5626, because it completely flips the script. Up to now, we've talked about solitary inner concentration and this grand cosmic articulation of the path. But the Mitta Sutta takes all that inward work and pushes it outward. It introduces this concept of mitta, meaning your inner circle, your friends, companions, relatives, anyone you feel deep sympathy for.
The text makes this incredibly bold argument. True friendship is not just about worldly stuff. It's not just helping your buddy move a couch or listening to them vent about a bad day at work. No, the Sutta says that if you truly care for your people, you actually have a duty to rouse and encourage them to break through to these exact same liberating truths. You take the most profound realization possible, the Four Noble Truths, and you actively guide the people you love toward it. It takes the ultimate personal spiritual quest and turns it into a profound social responsibility. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. We just journeyed through a staggering library of over 7,000 ancient texts, funneled all the way down to a single, sharp truth about human suffering and liberation. And then, the text turns around and tells you to hand that truth to the person next to you. So I have to ask, when you discover a profound truth that fundamentally changes your life for the better, who is the very first person you feel compelled to share it with?